Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Shall we wait for 2 to 3 minutes?
Yes, we can wait for 2 more minutes and then we can start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think maybe we can start now.
Sure, sir.
Okay, fine. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are going to look at couple of topics. One is getting tips to create effective resumes and CVs. And secondly, how to have a very smart profile update on your LinkedIn, because both go hand in hand and both are useful for a student or any candidate when we are preparing our resume or preparing our profiles, etc. So these are the two topics, which we will see today, which you should be finding helpful. And then my request would be that, once you have gone through this session, you should try this out with your own CV and resume preparation, and at the same time, updating your LinkedIn profiles. I think that will be helpful, right? So I'll share my screen, and we'll get some industry experts, talking about, what should be a good way to prepare your resume and CV. And let's see, how it works. My screen is now visible, right? My screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and just let me know if the audio is audible or not.
Okay.
Make a first impression with your resume. 6 seconds.
Audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Okay, fine. All right. Okay, let's jump straight in and see.
6 seconds. 6 seconds is all you get to make a first impression with your resume. That's it. Have a good one. Amazing. You're that much closer to your ideal career. If you missed the mark, unfortunately, your resume is in the not now pile. But don't worry, that's where I come in to help. My name is Sho Do-won. I'm a former recruiter turned career coach and the founder of WorkHab. I've helped thousands of people just like you land their amazing new jobs. In this course, I'll teach you all the tips, tricks, and strategies to build your winning resume.
Okay, so the purpose of this is to kind of see, how do you build a winning resume? Because
now, this is what
as
most
the
people
author
think.
says, that you actually have 6 to 10 seconds to kind of really make an impression, right? Because the recruiters in the system, they would only be seeing certain keywords which should match with the job description, etc. And that's how the resume gets shortlisted, etc. Right? So let's listen to that. How to do it.
Think resumes are a chronological list of your life story, a brag sheet of every single win you've ever had in your career, or a way for recruiters to get to know who you really are. But that is not the purpose of a resume. There's really only one purpose, and that purpose is to get you an interview for the specific role you're going for. You see the key word here? It's specific. I want you to start thinking about your resume as a marketing document that includes all your big wins and skills for a specific role and company. Let's say you're a recruiter and you have these 3 options. The first candidate brands themselves as a job seeker and they're open to any and every job out there. Another candidate is a generalist and they wear multiple hats. It's not a specialist in anything, but can do a little bit of everything. And then you got the candidate who is a subject matter expert, the SME, and has a resume specifically tailored for the role that you're recruiting for? Who would you pick? The answer is obvious. You and every recruiter out there is going to go for the SME, the subject matter expert. Because when you are specific with your target role and skills and experiences, recruiters are so much more drawn to you for that role. You may not even have to apply to the role if your personal brand is so tailored for that role.
So very key important point to keep in mind that the way you present your resume and CV, right, should be very specific, customized, and tailor-made to reflect your own skill sets. It should not be a generalistic CV, or it should not be like any other general job seeker, because every recruiter who would want to hire you, right, would want to see exactly what are your skill sets and why are you different from person X and Y in the market. So a lot of times there are complaints that, oh no, I have submitted my CV, but then nobody calls me. The reason nobody probably calls you is because your CV is not getting shortlisted based on the way it is kind of formatted, based on the way the skill sets are included, based on the way how you have articulated the points in your CV, right? And that's where the SME angle comes into the picture. You need to present yourself as a specialist, as somebody who is a star in kind of doing that specific job and the role, which also means customizing your CV based on the job role that you're applying for. And we'll see an example right now.
They may seek you out instead. So that's why it's imperative to make this shift. Instead of one resume for all the jobs you're going to go for, I want you to start creating tailored resumes for each specific role. Next up, you're going to learn what recruiters are really looking for.
So let's hear what the recruiters are really looking for.
The key to crafting a winning resume that attracts recruiters is to think and act like a recruiter. In a typical day, they're hiring for many different roles and teams. They're working with hiring managers who all have their own working styles, and they're reviewing dozens of resumes. This is why the first impression is everything when it comes to your resume. And as I mentioned before, you only get those first 6 seconds. In that time, recruiters are going to make sure your resume is ATS friendly, has a professional look and feel, and highlights the right skills and experience for the role.
So ATS means application tracking system. Every organization has an ATS, which means when you apply online, or whoever is applying from whatever sources, all the resumes are stored in one central system. That's an application tracking system. And the way the recruiters look at the application tracking system is based on certain keywords. Say, for example, they would want to hire for a marketing role, or maybe a finance role, or maybe an HR role. They will have 6-7 keywords, and the skill sets has to match with your resume. The moment the system matches your resume, your CV is shortlisted. But moment your system doesn't match your resume, because the skill sets are not mentioned in your CV, that becomes challenge. Hence, your CV or resume should be ATS friendly.
AKA, what they're really looking for is, can you do the job? If the answer is a definitive yes, amazing, you're going to get an interview, and that's what I want for your resume. To do that, we got to talk about ATS first, and we'll get into that next. So let's break down what this applicant tracking system, the ATS, really is. Because a lot of candidates have this fear that ATS is this big, scary thing that will reject resumes left and right. But the reality is, most resumes are still reviewed by human. The ATS is just a tool that helps recruiters and HR stay organized with all the resumes they get every single day. So when someone applies on the company website or job board, the ATS takes that information and puts it into the right categories that helps recruiters do their job. The only time it becomes a problem is when the ATS cannot read certain information because of how it's formatted. Here are examples of what not to do. Adding in headshots and different graphics, multiple columns, adding in fancy fonts. All of these mess with the ATS and makes it difficult to parse through information. Now, you're probably wondering, Sho, I know what not to do, but what should I do? In the next video, I'll give you my go-to resume template. There is no one perfect resume, and a lot of different templates are effective and can make a great impression. With that said, this is my go-to template that I recommend for most people in their careers, and you could download it in the exercise files. It's simple, clean, easy to read, and organizes your information in a way that allows the recruiters to instantly see what you're all about. Also, notice how this is a one-page resume. I recommend keeping a resume to 1 to 2 pages if possible. 1 is ideal if you have less than 10 years of experience. 2 is okay if you have 15, and maybe 3 if you have more than 20 plus. The goal for you is to keep your resume simple and concise. And if you are a student and don't have that much professional experience just yet, don't worry. I would recommend a template like this, where you highlight your education at the top and professional and leadership experience below it. If you are a professional who's been in the same role or industry for the majority of your career, you can also choose a template that goes straight into your experiences without having a summary to highlight your main wins. For example, if I was a finance manager for the last 5 years and my next role I was looking to be a senior finance manager, this template would work great. On the other hand, if I was a finance manager and looking to pivot my career as a data scientist, then I would look to have the template with a summary and technical toolkit all the way up to the top. It really just depends on your specific situation right now. You may have also seen or have used different software and tools like Canva or Photoshop for more creative resumes, and those can work too. Here's when you might want to do that. If you're going for a creative or marketing role and want to show off your design skills, if you have a number one company you've always want to work at and are able to brand your resume towards that company with that same colors, look, and feel, or if you're sending your resume directly to a point of contact and you know they prefer more creative resumes. But again, I personally use Word or Google Docs to create my resumes, and I recommend most of my clients to do the same.
So very important thing to keep in mind. You saw the examples of various templates. If you are a student, then you should probably highlight your education information on the top and then the others. If you are probably working as a particular in a role in a marketing or finance or HR or whatever those functions are, and you have certain years of experience in the industry, then you should be highlighting those in the top and followed by like your credentials, your achievements, right? If again, as the author says here, if you are wanting to look forward to creating some sort of a creative resume, firstly, you need to understand what is the role you're applying for. I mean, creativity typically comes in roles like marketing, etc. But even if you don't create a creative resume, that is okay. Just using a simple Google Doc or a Word is absolutely fine. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to really have a creative resume with all the big headshots and using certain designs, etc. You can do that. Even if you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine, right? The choice is yours, but don't overcomplicate the resume. Restrict it to maximum 1 page or 1.5 page, typically, right? Highlight exactly what the recruiters or the hiring manager would want to see. Don't stuff your resume with 101 points. Just be very relevant and to the point, right? So that is important to keep in mind, and then you can always decide the format which best suits you and your skill sets.
Your resume will change as you progress through your career. This is important for you to remember so you don't look for that perfect resume and craft one that is right for you right now. All right, I know you're itching now to get started working on your resume. The next part is all about my signature 1, 2, 3-step system to craft a winning resume every single time. Now that you know what the purpose of a resume is, it's time for the fun part, revamping it. Here are the 3 steps we'll do together. We'll choose your target role, we'll dissect the job description, and then finally, we're gonna write your best stories.
So very important point in the next, few videos that you will see. I would request, please note all these points down because this will come in handy.
So first things first, I gotta ask you, where do you wanna go? AKA, what's your target role? Try to get as specific as you can. Title plus company. So let me show you how to find it on LinkedIn. Go to linkedin.com and click jobs on the top banner. In the search bar, type in your target role and the city. For example, digital marketing manager and Los Angeles. Now you'll see a list of filters at the top, which you can use to wind down your choices even more. I know there are probably a ton of roles that interest you at the moment, but for the purpose of this activity, just focus on one job description. Now that you've seen me do it, it's your turn, my friend. Go on LinkedIn, choose a target role for this course, and save the JD as a PDF. Now that you have your target role, I want to ask you, how did that go? Anything new you learned about yourself? Do you feel confident in your choice of target role? Whatever your answers are, that's perfectly okay. I know it can feel scary choosing just one role. But remember, this exercise helps you stay focused as you work on that winning resume. If you'd like to change your role in the future for whatever reason, that's perfectly okay. You can refer back to this course whenever you want to revamp. We are now done with step 1. Let's move on to step 2. Now that you know where you want to go, it's time to move on to step 2, dissect the job description. So what do I mean by dissect? For the purpose of this course, dissect means we're going to look for keywords on the JD that will help us tailor our resume. The reason we do this is because JDs are the recruiter's way of giving you a secret pass to the interview. They're essentially telling you, hey, hint, hint, we're looking for candidates who have these skills, experience, and keywords on your resume. So we want to listen to that hint and start showing off that we do.
So very, very important tip. So when you first select a target job role, that this is the role that you want to apply for. What is it that role that we want to do? You want to be a marketing manager, you want to be an HR professional, you want to be a finance, you want to be in machine learning, you want to be a data scientist, whatever that is, that's the target role you select. Then once you look into this job description, the job description will give you an idea as to what the company and the recruiter is looking for. And you should be picking up on certain keywords which is available in those job descriptions and try to include them in your resume, because that is the only way which will make your resume relevant, which will make like the recruiter and the team to understand that you are the candidate who has that skill set. And of course, I mean, it's not only about putting it in the resume, you actually need to have that skill sets as well, but which I'm assuming you will anyways have. And then when the resume is getting screened, the recruiter or the hiring manager will be able to see through that, map it back with the job description they have shared, and it's like, oh, it's a great fit, right? Let me kind of call this person for the shortlist this person, etc. So it's very important to kind of keep this in mind when you are revamping or customizing your resume, right? Let's listen more.
So here's the JD. We're going to dissect this one together, and I want you to do the same with the JD you saved earlier. We first want to break down the JD into the three most important elements: the title, responsibilities, and requirements. And now we want to look for 5 keywords and themes that pop up to us. Later on, we'll take this information and use it to help shape our own resume accordingly. Fair warning, my friend. This may seem a bit complicated when we first do this, and that is 100% normal. This is a skill that's important to build up now that you can take with you for the rest of your career and any other time you're looking for a new job. All right, so keywords and themes. We have 2 ways to do this. Option 1, we can use a free word cloud generator we found online. So putting the example JD into this generator, we get these words that appear the most based off their size: marketing, digital, analytics, social, paid, and website.
A very, very smart tip. So the JD, if you copy paste and put it in the word cloud, the word cloud will bring out what are the words which is kind of maximum time represented. So if you see here in this example, it's talking about social experience, email, paid, marketing, digital, website, and then followed by, let's say, developing, let's say, primary, optimizing, etc., project, etc. So this will give you an idea as to what are the primary focus areas and the primary keywords that should be included as a part of your skill set and reflecting in your CV. Okay.
And now method 2, we can use the eye test, which I personally prefer. We want to look out for words that repeat themselves, technical skills that are critical for the role, and industry-specific themes. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here, but for me, these are the ones that I see repeating themselves or crucial for the role: website traffic, paid media, SEO, SEM, marketing analytics, and events. The reason this exercise is so crucial is because if you know what the recruiters are looking for, you can be who they hire. Now that we've done this together, it's your turn. Press pause and look for those 5 keywords and themes in your own JD. Once you're done, I'll see you next where we talk about step 3. We are now at step 3. With your 5 keywords from the last exercise, it's now time to link it to your own experience that you want to highlight on your resume. And we'll do that with an activity. So first, I want you to take out a scratch piece of paper, fold it in half horizontally, right in the middle. Grab a pen and draw 5 horizontal lines across the page. Next, take those 5 keywords from the last exercise and write each in its own individual box on the left. So using the last JD as an example, I would write website traffic, paid media, SEO, SEM, marketing analytics, and events. And on the right, I want you to answer the following questions for each keyword. What project did I use this particular skill? What was my specific role in this project? What was the impact from this project? These are the responses that you'll highlight on your resume. And one thing to remember here, these skills and stories do not have to come from your main experience. These can also be transferable skills from your side or complementary projects that you did throughout your career. Let me give you an example from one of my amazing clients. He was a high school teacher and in education for his entire career, but he wanted to transition into a project manager role for a tech startup and thought he didn't have the right experiences. But after doing this exercise, that's when he realized just how much PM experience he was doing in his day-to-day job. He managed different stakeholders like teachers and parents. He managed deadlines around curriculums and project plans, and he used different CRM tools to stay organized. You see how all of these are project manager activities? And guess what he's doing now? He's a project manager for an edutech company and loving it. I so want that for you too. So coming back to the example we've been working on together, let's connect our skills to the job description. We have marketing analytics on our left, and on our right, we are answering these 3 questions. For question 1, our client analyzed newsletter metrics, demographics, and website traffic using Google Analytics, and he would use that data to make content recommendations to editorial staff. As a result, the team was able to increase the open rate of emails by 3x in a span of 90 days. So now that you've seen that example, I want you to think about all the great impact that you've made and conceptualize it with numbers. This is going to be such a game changer for you. Download this activity from the exercise files and get started today. This is how you transform your general resume into a subject matter expert resume. You'll see a real life example in the next video. A pop quiz. Do you remember the one thing recruiters are really looking for on your resume? It's, can you do the job? If the answer is yes, you're going to get an interview, and that's my goal for you. When recruiters are thinking, can you do the job? What they're really doing is they're scanning your resume for these core elements. A crafted summary that fits the JD, the right hands-on experiences relevant for the role, soft, technical, and transferable skills, and side hustles or other projects that prove you can do the job. So let's look back at the example JD and see a resume tailored for that role. Meet Alex Miller, and let's examine his winning resume. Naturally, a recruiter will read a resume from top to bottom. They'll spend time at the top and ask themselves, does this person seem like a good fit to continue reading? This is where a summary at the top makes a huge difference. Write 2 to 4 lines that show the value you bring to this role and align it with the keywords from the JD. Notice how Alex bolds his title, calls out his specific experiences, and includes metrics to add to that wow factor. Then moving down, we see the list of his technical skills and highlighting some that were again listed in the JD. With all of this at the top, this makes it easy for the recruiter to immediately identify the main value he brings without scrolling further. Then we go into the professional experience. This is the star of your resume and the biggest section, taking up about 70% of it. He lists out relevant projects for the role and focuses on the impact made with numbers. He also categorized the bullet points based off those 5 keywords. Now that you've seen his resume, put yourself in the recruiter's position. Would you interview Alex for the role? I really hope so, because that's what I want for your resume as well. Let's go one step further and break down this resume example. We'll get into why this is a winning resume and how to make one for yourself next. There's 4 main parts to this based off the resume template that I recommend, and it goes like this. Name and contact information at the top, summary and technical toolkit, the star of your resume, professional experience, and we finish with education and other. I encourage you to hit pause and download the resume example as we'll break each part down throughout this chapter. All right, so let's move on to name and contact information. I recommend having your name as the biggest font in your resume. We want this to be bold and easily recognizable on your document. Now moving on to your contact information, for your address, simply putting your city and state or country works. I see a lot of resumes with their full addresses listed at the top, and to be honest with you, it's just not necessary and can possibly be a bit of a safety concern. No one needs to know that upfront. One thing I will call out for your address is that if you are thinking about moving to a new city or even abroad to a new country, I actually recommend you to list that new city on your resume. You just have a better chance of getting an interview if you have the same city as a company and you can further explain your situation in the interview. Then we have your phone number, email address, and of course, LinkedIn URL. I recommend having a professional email address with just your name, and the same goes for your LinkedIn URL. The standard will have your name and a random collection of numbers, but you don't really need all that. If you don't know how to change your URL, you can easily make that switch throughout your profile, as you see here. Now that you feel good about your name and contact information up at the top, let's get into your summary and technical toolkit next. Now moving on to summary, Most candidates don't actually include one. It's not always necessary, but I recommend it to most of my clients. These are times when I think it's especially important for you to have a professional summary. If you're making a career pivot or change into a new role or industry, if you're coming from a non-traditional background, or if you have a resume that may have a career break and you want to address that up front. Even if those situations don't apply to you, I still recommend most of my clients to have a summary. So what should be included in this? This is where you want to highlight your personal brand as a subject matter expert and share your current or target title, big wins, and metrics. You know the saying, dress for the job you want, not the role you have? That's the same principle that applies to your summary. Write about your experiences that are relevant for the new role that you want. Notice how Alex bolds digital marketing director, so the recruiters can immediately see that he is branding himself for the role they are recruiting for. And many of the wins listed are tied back to those 5 keywords he found when he dissected the job description. And then we go to the technical toolkit. And this should ideally have some of the hard skills that were listed in the JD to show you have the necessary skills to do the job. Even if the role you're going for is not outright technical, for example, business development or customer success, it's still a good opportunity to list out the tools and software you have experience with that can show you're good at picking up new skills and tools. And now, there you have it. You have your summary and technical toolkit. Let's move on to experiences next. Now we are at the professional experience, and this is the star of your resume. This is what most recruiters will examine and will bring up in your interviews as well. The reason for that is they want to see if you can do the job. And the best way to prove that is through your experience. You want to ensure it's easy to see your current and previous titles, name of the company, and dates you worked there. And list out your roles in chronological order, most recent at the top. I recommend a few lines to summarize your role and highlight some of the key skills and projects you worked on before deep diving into your bullet points. This is optional, but I think another nice add is to break up your project experience and categorize them into the keywords you found on the job description. Notice how Alex's uses SEO and paid media campaigns, marketing analytics, events and partnerships, all found from dissecting the JD, and his best stories are written under each. And while these categories are a nice touch, it's really the bullet points that will make or break your resume and decide if you get that interview. Because the best resumes have bullet points that tell stories that showcase value and impact. So many candidates make the mistake of writing bullet points only talking about what they were responsible for, participated in, helped with. But the best bullet points are more than just what you're assigned to do. They're more about the impact and value you brought to the organization. Here is a simple formula that I recommend that will showcase that value. Action verb, situation, impact. For the action verb, you want to include past tense for past projects and present tense for ongoing projects. Next, moving on to the situation, this is where you describe your role in the project. And finishing it off with the impact, this is where you include the result of the project with metrics and numbers.
Very important thing to kind of keep in mind, right? So how do you use the sentences in the resume? Like, as you are seeing, firstly, you create a summary, then add your skill sets, which is fine. How we learned, like, how to look at the various skill sets using the job description, put it in the word cloud, then creating a sheet which has 2 different columns, calling out those top 5 keywords, and then articulating your examples against them. And then, when we talk about how do we articulate, what kind of English or what kind of tone we should write, then we should talk about, typically things which has been done in the past. That's your achievement is in the past tense, things we are doing currently, which is current, and then ultimately validating all of them by saying this is an impact. So if you have said that due to my work, we have been able to create 18 or 20 different content, then that is an impact. That is a metrics. You can say that you have been part of a team which was responsible for driving certain initiative. What was your role? Your role would have been either as a team lead, or either your role could also be as a team member. And then ultimately, because of your role, what was the impact which was measurable as much as possible, right? That's the way to fine tune the resume.
Check out the exercise files for a list of my favorite action verbs that can help you get started writing bullet points that sell. So you can turn bullet points from responsible for updating sales pages and tracking metrics for the website to increase web traffic by 110% by establishing organic content marketing strategy and tracking analytics for 13 million visitors per month. You see the difference there? It's all about your bullet points and how you sell yourself. And now you know exactly how to do it. Let's move on to our last step, education. And finally, at the bottom, we have education. Keep in mind, if you are a student or a recent graduate, it's okay to still have education up at the top, especially if you're building up your professional experience. And you can include your extracurriculars, volunteer, project work, relevant classes and awards. But for more experienced professionals, I recommend moving education all the way to the bottom. Because remember, your professional experience should be the main star of your resume. For education, you should include any of your degrees, and you can also include other relevant educational courses like boot camps or online programs. This section can also be a place to include some other skills and facts about yourself, like different languages, awards, and interests. There's no right or wrong answer to what your interests are, but I think it adds a personal touch to your resume that can often lead to new conversations in your interviews. That wraps up education and additional information, and now you have a winning resume from top to bottom.
So we will pause here for this part, right? What we will now do is, like, now that we have seen how this resume etc. is kind of created, simultaneously it is very important to ensure that your LinkedIn profile is also appropriately updated, because your resume and your LinkedIn go hand in hand. So you should know what are the smart tips to update and have a LinkedIn profile which is really, really smart and easy to kind of recognizable, right? So now we will see, and immediately after like what we have seen, how to build a resume, how to create a smart LinkedIn profile, so that, like, you are also able to do this exercise simultaneously when you are working on, right? So let's listen to how you creating a LinkedIn profile.
Welcome to LinkedIn Quick Tips. I'm Oliver Shankton, staff instructor at LinkedIn Learning. I've had the opportunity to help a lot of people optimize and utilize LinkedIn. Over the years, I've come across many questions or concerns that continue to come up. This course is a collection of quick tips and tricks designed to answer many of those questions and to introduce you to new features or remind you of features that you may have forgot about on LinkedIn. Each self-contained movie is about 1 minute long and was designed to give you one practical and applicable tip. Even if you only have a minute or two, you can pick up some valuable tips on LinkedIn. Adding a background image is a great way to make your LinkedIn profile stand out. To do this, first navigate to your LinkedIn profile. You can edit your background image by clicking on the camera icon in the upper right corner. Once you click on this, you can use one of the pre-made templates or click on Upload Photo and select one of the files from your computer. Once you've uploaded it, you can reposition the photo, zoom, or straighten it. Down below, you can even crop, filter, or make adjustments to it. When you're done, you can click Apply. And like that, you have a new background image on your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn allows you to claim a personalized URL, making it easier to share a link to your profile with others. To do this, navigate to your LinkedIn profile. At the top, on the right-hand side, click Edit Public Profile and URL. On this page, in the upper right, you can see your URL. By default, you'll see that it contains your name, as well as a bunch of random letters and numbers. In order to customize this and create a personalized URL, click on the pencil icon. From here, you can add your name or however you want to customize it. When you're done, click Save. And like that, you have a new customized URL. Now, if this name is already taken by someone, you'll have to select a new one. You can try adding a middle initial or putting your last name first, any way that you can change it up. Now you have your own customized URL to your LinkedIn profile that you can easily share with others.
So a lot of times what happens is, like, when you need to share your LinkedIn profile as a part of your resume, etc., you just need to share your customized LinkedIn profile. You can include that customized LinkedIn profile in your resume itself directly. Just adds a lot of value.
By default, LinkedIn will share job changes, education changes, and work anniversaries with your network. You do have the ability to turn this feature off, however. If you'd like to control whether these changes to your profile are shared with your network, click on your profile picture in the upper right corner. From the drop-down, select Settings and Privacy. Now on the left-hand side, make sure that you're on the Visibility tab and select Visibility of your LinkedIn activity. In this section, over to the right, click on Share Profile Updates with your network. If you don't want changes to be shared with your network, you can toggle this to No. You have the ability to turn this on or off at any time. It's important.
Now, this section is important. Just like in your CV, you have added the various skill sets. It is important to add those relevant skill sets on LinkedIn as well, because that's where the system is going to match your CV and your LinkedIn profile, and also it helps the various users who are searching for your profile online to look into those kind of skill sets and keywords and then identify who you are.
Important to add skills to your LinkedIn profile to showcase what you're skilled at. Once you've added skills, you can reorder them at any time. To do this, navigate to the Skills and Endorsements section of your LinkedIn profile. From here, you can add a new skill. You can manage your skills by clicking on the pencil icon in the upper right corner of this section. Once you do this, you'll notice that LinkedIn pins your top 3 skills at the top of this section. You can determine which 3 skills you want to be pinned by clicking on those pin icons. To remove one, I can click on the pin, and to add another, I can click on that pin. To change the order of the skills, which are organized by categories, you can click on the 4 lines icon to the right and drag that wherever you'd like it to appear. When you're done, click Save. One way to improve the strength of your LinkedIn profile is to expand upon your job experience. In order to do this, navigate to your profile and scroll down to the Experience section. Rather than simply listing your positions and employer, add accomplishments, responsibilities, or experiences to elaborate on what you did in that role. In order to edit one, you can click on the pencil icon to the right of that role. Here's where you added information regarding your current position. To expand upon this role, enter in additional information in the description box. Down here. When you're done, you can click Save. And like that, you've entered detail to your job experience section. The Featured section of your LinkedIn profile allows you to showcase samples of your work, including images, documents, links, multimedia files, or even articles and posts of yours from LinkedIn. In order to do this, navigate to your LinkedIn profile and then select Add Section. From here, navigate to Featured. Here you'll see the different types of content you can add. To add a file, select Media. And then you can select the file from your computer.
And again, this is a very important section to keep in mind, because all that you're adding on LinkedIn is nothing but your work or the kind of work that you have done, which is supposed to be highlighted. So now you see, along with your CV, how this both go hand in hand.
To add a link to a website or video, select Links. Here, paste the URL and click Add. Next, you can give this a title as well as a description, and when you're done, click Save. And like that, you've now added a sample of your work to the Featured section of your LinkedIn profile. A great way to strengthen your LinkedIn profile is to include a recommendation from someone. You have the ability to request a recommendation from your first-degree connections that you work with or have worked with. Let's take a look at how to do this. First, go to the profile of the connection that you'd like to recommend you. From this page, click on More, and from the drop-down, select Request a Recommendation. Next, you can enter in how and where you know them from, and enter in a message asking the person to write you a recommendation. Once you have this filled out, you can click Send, and it will be sent to that person. If a connection writes you a recommendation, you'll be notified via a message from the sender on LinkedIn. You can accept, dismiss, or ask for a revision of the recommendation. Once you accept the recommendation, it will be added to your profile. When connecting with someone on LinkedIn, add a personalized note letting the person know why you want to connect or how you know them. When you click on the Connect button on someone's profile, you receive a pop-up button. If you click Send, the invitation will be sent without a message. Instead, click Add a Note. Here, you can add a note letting the person know why you want to connect with them or how you know them. Once you've entered a note, click Send, and that invitation will be sent to the person. On the LinkedIn mobile app, the process is a little different. Instead of clicking on Connect, click on the three-dot icon to the right. From there, select Personalize Invite. Here, you can now personalize the invite and then send it.
So important to note, how you would typically do your networking. Now, while creating the profile on LinkedIn is one part of it, it's also important that once you have created the profile, how do you network? How do you reach out to the various groups or the job postings or your connects, and how do you typically engage there, right? So that's what it talks about. You have to create you have to join a particular group, the way you are supposed to send a personalized invite to connect with somebody, right? Etc., etc. Follow certain companies where you would want to really focus on your job hunting, or you would want to look into you have some aspirations that these are the kind of companies that I would want to target. So how do you typically look into that, right? So these are the various things which we'll talk about. So let's listen to how do you join a LinkedIn group and why should you do that.
LinkedIn groups are a great way to connect with other professionals on a specific topic. In order to search for groups, type a topic in the search bar up at the top.
So again, if you remember the previous example when we were looking into how to build a resume, we talked about the first thing is to choose a kind of a job title. So this is what I would want to become. I want to become a data scientist, right? And then you create your resume accordingly. Now on LinkedIn, you have updated your profile, you have expressed your various interests and skill sets and stuff. Now you would want to probably connect with similar people who are also data scientists, or who are also looking at connecting with a similar person like you. So then here in your you will type in something like a data scientist group or something, anything that which is of your interest, and then you will be able to join those group. And that's the example which the author is talking about here, how to do that.
Once you enter the original search, use the advanced search options. Select Groups to filter out groups. Here, you can see all the LinkedIn groups containing your search terms. To learn more about a group, select it. Here, you can read more about the group, as well as member highlights and other information. To join, click on Request to Join. Group managers may review your request to join or ask for additional information to make sure you meet their membership criteria. Membership approval is solely up to the group. If you are accepted to the group, you'll be notified and can then begin contributing. Following companies on LinkedIn can provide you with several different advantages, including receiving updates, showing your interest in the company, and for researching a company to prepare for an interview. To follow a company, first search for that company on LinkedIn. Here, I'll type in Microsoft. Once you find the company, you can click on it, and this will bring you to the company page. From here, you can click on the Follow button in order to follow that company. Also, you can then click on different areas of the company page to learn more about that company. Alumni pages are a great way to find and connect with fellow alumni from the school that you attended. In order to find a school, use the search bar on LinkedIn. Once you find it, you can select it and you'll be brought to that school's LinkedIn page. On this page, from the menu, select the Alumni tab. This is a school's alumni page. On this page, you can search for people who attended within specific years.
So all these will give you various ways in which you can connect and network, right? So now you have a profile. Now you know how to kind of create a resume. Now you know how to connect with alumni and also kind of do for the relevant searches. Let's look at a very quick way of how do you typically search and apply for jobs on LinkedIn? How do you set up job alerts?
To search for jobs on LinkedIn, click on the jobs icon in the navigation bar. Here, enter in a job title and location. You can also select remote. This brings you to several job postings that fit your criteria. You can filter jobs using the advanced filters at the top. Once you've entered in all your criteria, you can then show the results. And now you can see the jobs that fit your narrowed down criteria. Here on this page, you can view different job postings, read the job descriptions and details, and even apply here on LinkedIn. Set up job alerts on LinkedIn to stay notified about newly posted positions. This is a job search for an instructional designer on LinkedIn that has specific filters turned on. In order to save this particular search, you can click on the Job Alert button here to toggle it on. Once the job alert has been created, you can manage it by navigating to the Jobs tab, and then Job Alerts on the left. To edit or manage a specific alert, select the pencil icon for that alert. Here you can customize notifications based on alert frequency or how you'll be notified. Once you've entered your preferences, click Save, and you've now saved that job alert. If you're looking for a job, you can let recruiters know that you're open to opportunities on your LinkedIn profile. In order to do this, first navigate to your profile. Next, under your name and headline, click on the Open To button. From here, select Finding a New Job. Inside the pop-up, you can customize your job preferences. Also, at the bottom, click on Choose Who Sees You're Open. Here, you can decide if you want all LinkedIn members to be able to see that you're open to job opportunities or only recruiters. When done, click Add to Profile. And like that, it's been added.
Great. So now that we have learned how to typically do this, any questions that you may have, which you will want to ask here? Any questions on today's training? Like how to create a resume, how to have that updated in the LinkedIn as well. And I would strongly encourage that you all try this. you all try this to do it for yourself, because then when you are actually creating this, you will understand that, like, what are the various steps. That hands-on working is going to be something very important. So any questions? Okay. If no questions, then I think we are good for our class today. Kyonis Karnataka team,
Yes, sir.
I think we are good for the class today. These are the two sets of exercises which the students can kind of not try. And if there is any questions, they can always follow up later.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.